Isn't that lovely?
Welcome to the Sheena and Sheila show. That is a little special song that Sheena, did you have that made for you?
Yes, this is part of an angelic CD. That is an angelic sound healing CD that healers can use with their clients. The archangels gave me a set of sequences when I was given the seals of the archangels back in 2000 when I was studying with the archangels. And it was created for me in a special studio with a gorgeous friend. And it's got all the different scales to help tune the chakras. So that one's the archangel scale that you were hearing just the introduction to. So we'll play that at the beginning of the show. And I'll play that.
That's the one you sent me, right?
That I think might be the one that I sent you, yes. And I put it on my screen so that we can
do it over and over and over again, trying to figure out how to do the intro. So I was just like,
It's okay. It does.
I can't figure it out, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, there's 4 scales. There's the ordinary scale of music, and of course we have 7 major chakras, and we have 7 major notes of music because the angels brought the scales to the planets. And the chakras respond to different resonations, colours, sound, frequencies, everything in their evolution. And so there's the rainbow scale, and then there is the chakra scale, there's the normal scale, and then there's the archangel scale. I always just about leave the planet. But they gave them to me in special sequences. So I made this lovely CD for people. So there's lots of tools that I've had fun to make over many years for people. Yeah, and they love it. They love it. But it actually does it. It tunes your chakras according to what you need at the time. It does help with light body symptoms as well. That's why if you're feeling down at any time, put on your favourite music, because within the musical frequencies, it helps bring you back into tune.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. We're instruments. We're like musical instruments. We need tuning of all kinds. Yeah, so.
Well, if you haven't guessed, this is our angel segment, and we're going to be spending the next, 8 weeks just on getting to know your angels. And we've got so much that we want to share. And Sheena and I have had, we've had 2 seasons together, and, our shows have just been very well received, and we are so happy to get together and share all this. So Sheena, thank you for bearing with us, and as if this isn't fun enough.
I know. This is such a hard job to do. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I feel extraordinarily blessed to be able to share these things with people. And I always say to people, please only ever take into your heart what feels right with you and for you. I only share knowledge with what's been shared with me in my concepts. So each person conceptualizes the divine in different ways, and this is what I was born to do. This is what I've always done when I've come to the planet in service. I was born consciously aware, which is a bit of a challenge. I can remember laying in my bassinet, looking out the car window, looking up at clouds. I was a tiny baby, and some of the things I told my mother before she crossed over many, many years ago. She said, "Sweetie, you're only 3 months old. How do you remember these things?" I said, "Mummy, I remember everything." So it's such a joy to share this knowledge with you all. My friends call me a space cadet. One of my dear friends says, "You're out there where the buses don't run, aren't you, darling?"
In the beginning, those little comments were like, "Oh," but now we're like, "Yes."
Absolutely. Oh, he's totally right. He's totally right. He's a captain of a ship, actually, and his wife's just gorgeous. We call him the chief. And my spirit's name is, or the essence of what it means, is Lit L Star. the lit L, whenever you see EL in an angel's name, it means light. So that's why you have Raphael, Gabriel, Michael, Uriel. The EL is light. So my spirit's essence is called Lit L Star, which simply means God's light shines in the stars. So that's why I'm a space cadet.
Right.
So my house is called Angel Essence House, which is my registered trademark, which I do all the angel work for the angels under. So there's lots of things that we will share along the way. But just please enjoy it. And Sheila has wonderful things to share as well. We're such good soul sisters. And I never feel like you're sitting on the other side of a planet in America. We always feel like that because we get together in spirit and we meet together in the ethers and in many places. So it's quite wonderful. But, yeah. And now, before we get started on the angels, and we're going to number each show for you and give you titles so you can go in and reference, and if you want to look at any past shows or look up any information. And we were hoping this year to always include a little segment at the end to try and let you know from the angelic realm a little bit about what's happening planetary, in the solar system, in the cosmics, in the universe, just to give you an idea, especially for people who are super, super sensitive.
Which most people know that I have a network of sensitives that I try to keep updated as often as I can because, boy, we are just on target and, you know, it's like we're just getting even more sensitive as the time goes on.
Of course we are, because we're ever evolving and we're ever expanding, and that sensitivity will increase. And so there's many things that affect us, not just other brothers and sisters, which are usually challenging enough as it is. Yeah, boot camp Earth. So I always refer to this dimension or this realm or this planet as boot camp Earth. And you're all amazing divine beings come here to do boot camp Earth.
Oh my goodness. Well, while we're talking about energy, why don't we just go ahead and follow up on that? Because I know that there are so many people who would love to, you know, it helps to know a little, even if you don't understand it. I mean, I'm working on projects out in the ethers that I don't understand. I just am aware that I'm participating, but at least I know that there's nothing wrong, that these symptoms, these things that we're feeling, it's just we're feeling them, you know, we're okay.
We are. What we experience here when we're incarnated, this is the densest form of light that we can vibrate at, the physical form. Quantum physics and scientists of course have proven that everything's made up of particles. So even we are energy, which is wonderful because science still has a lot to learn from spirit, but science can prove many things now, which is good for us. So you can have a scientific explanation as well as a spiritual one. So you are going to always feel these things, and we do when we're becoming more consciously aware, when we're more enlightened, and when we're more sensitive. We feel everything, and it can create what is called light body symptoms.
Right.
And it can make you feel like you've been run over by a bus.
Right.
And yes, and it's energy, of course. So some people who don't have this conscious knowledge in their conscious mind might think that they're under some kind of psychic attack even, because they can feel very, very uncomfortable. But in actual fact, sometimes when you're working with higher frequencies than your physical form, it can translate as pain and aches.
Right.
So sometimes when I've worked in my mastery and been working with very, very high energy in the very early years before I gained mastery of it, I would feel it'd take me a couple of days to recover. I just didn't want to, I'd go into, my silent time and not want to see anyone or talk to anyone because I was vibrating at such a high frequency, and then having to ground, which is very important, and come back into your body. I would feel like I'd been run over by 3 buses. And it took me a while to learn about that. The experience itself was fantastic. So I could then teach others who then have to switch from different channels or different frequencies. So I've been able to help them make a smoother transition. It's much like an athlete. When you've been doing an incredible athletic feat, you not only use your adrenaline, but then you slip into your noradrenaline, and they are riding on such a high. It's really important to warm up and warm down after an athletic event. And the same as when you do your mastery work, your channeling work. But Sheila was just telling me that when she went to Montana, you had a bit of an experience with not only the water that wasn't perhaps in harmony, this water, and it affected you physically, but that you went into the forest and you felt 100%. And I'd love to share with people about the beautiful forest beings that people don't quite know about this. There's those that will, and they'll get it and they'll understand, and then there's those that'll just say, oh, she's a space cadet, that's okay. And then
I'm going to wear that one proudly. I
will too. Yes.
I feel so honored that, yes. And yes. You know, I didn't have any training. I don't know how I naturally became so communicative with the forest, but boy, first I started off in LA, California, down in the beach. Not a lot of forest right in that area. Okay. Once I did start spending more time in the forest, it was just such a natural process. And people say, well, what do you mean you can talk to the trees? You know, what do you mean you talk to the people?
Okay, the best way to describe this is the word angels means messenger. We all have messengers with us. They are higher consciousness and they have no shape and form. Now, when we were terraforming this planet, the angelic realm, a beautiful ecosystem was set up where the physical trees would do a physical job. And there is this wonderful relationship between the trees on this planet, because we breathe in oxygen and we breathe out carbon dioxide. The trees breathe in carbon dioxide, transform it, and breathe out oxygen. And they are our oxygen supply, and we are their carbon dioxide supply. There is this beautiful symbiosis that takes place. Yes. Physically, it's extraordinary. If mankind had any concept of what went into creating this extraordinary experience for them in this dimension, in a physical context, they would just be so humbled. Now, there are beings, and I suppose I can use Lord of the Rings, if anyone's seen Lord of the Rings, or if anybody knows what a dryad is. A dryad is a special keeper of forests who looks after the trees. And the trees themselves have got an energy. And if you are really, really unwell, you can actually go, and believe it or not, you know, people call other people tree huggers, but you can actually go up to a tree. You can lean against the tree, and you can do the same with Mother Earth. You can lay on the grass. But if you consciously, in your conscious mind, direct your loving thoughts towards the keepers or the protectors of the circles of trees or the forests, because each little forest area has a being that's their guardian, you can say, could you please assist me and draw these toxins out of my body? Now, you're not harming that being because that's its purpose. It can also draw that energy out of you, transform it and transmutate it, and send it back into the earth or out into the atmosphere as pure energy. So they recycle, and they're just extraordinary. They are just the most amazing beings. And the water does the same. There's beings, that elemental beings, that are in charge of all of this. So if you take yourself beyond the physical into the metaphysical or the spiritual realm, it really is quite magical. And so, yeah, and they absolutely do this for us.
Right. You know, it was very interesting because the last 2 camp trips that I took, the lake didn't speak to me. And which was a little interesting because there are certain lakes that I go to specifically to speak with the water. And so then this morning, first thing I did was walk over to the river next to my house. And I was sitting in I have this secret little place that I sit in amongst the trees and the rocks. And I'm right there above the water. And I sat there in stillness for a little bit. And finally, oh my God, finally, the answer came. I was finally had clarity on what had been bothering me for months and months now. And I was just like so relieved. And it was like, well, okay. So the river needed to tell me the answer. It wasn't the lake this time. It was the river who had the answer. And specifically this place that I go to, I had not been there for quite some time. It has always been kind of my just go be with the rocks and the trees and the water place. Okay. And I had not been there for a long time. And so I felt like I was also, that there was a celebration that I had returned. Yes.
You brought your beautiful vibration.
That's how crazy I am.
Space Cadet 1, Space Cadet 2. Yeah. I remember when I visit, I travel and I do workshops, and I have the most beautiful network of brothers and sisters that have got the most wonderful hearts. And I go down to Tasmania, which is a little island off Australia, at the bottom of Australia. The next stop is Antarctica from Tasmania. Oh. And I was visiting a beautiful soul sister, and she came to pick me up, and she was so excited. And she said, "Oh my God, Sheena, I've had the most extraordinary experience." I said, what happened? What happened? She said, "The mountains spoke to me." And I said, "What did they say?" And they thanked her for inviting me to come and visit her. Oh, and she said, "Oh my God, Sheena," she said, "it's amazing." They said, "Thank you for bringing you here. Thank you for inviting you." She said, "I've never had an experience like that before." And I was humbled. I was so humbled by it. But whenever I do visit, the mountains talk to her before I get there. And she knows when I'm coming. The mountains speak to her. And so it's the beautiful guardians. It's just, they're beings. They've always been there. They're what we call the gatekeepers, the guardians. And when I moved here to where I am on the Great Dividing Range, which runs north to south of the east coast of Australia, there's also a beautiful set of magical mountains called the Blue Mountains, which run from east to west. And those mountains, the beings there are so loud because they're rocks. They're big rock beings. And I had to say to them, "I can hear you. Could you just talk really quiet to me, because it's really hurting my head?" And they're so nice. They know when I'm coming. It's like, "Here she comes. We'll just whisper to her so we don't give her a headache." It's quite funny. Oh. Yeah. But darling, you felt much better when you went to the lake. You had an experience in the water you were sharing with me, and then you went into the forest, and the forest cleared your energy.
Absolutely.
So, yes, so these places can clear your energy. And swimming in the ocean, the salt has the ability to hold an electrical charge. So the salt is always the most wonderful cleanser for your auric field. And if you can't get to the ocean, you can always have a bath with rock salt. But do make sure the salt is dissolved before you jump in the bath. With the Celtic sea salt, it takes longer to dissolve. You sit down on that. That will clear your energy because you'll be squealing. It's very sharp. And table salt is a little bit different because I think they iodize it. It's better if you can use Celtic sea salt. And put your head and everything under the salt water. It's so invigorating and refreshing to cleanse your auric field, to get what we call dust and everything else that you pick up on the way.
Okay, now what about if you don't have a bathtub? How can you do that?
Oh, you get a washing flannel. We call them flannels here. They're a little square towel that you would use as a loafer to wash your body.
Mhm.
You fill it up with the salt. You wrap it up, with an elastic band or something, and you loafer yourself with the water and the salt. And you can dissolve some in a little bucket to tip it over your head.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's the way you could do that.
Oh, good, good. I wondered because I have
Good question. Yeah.
I have a foot bath, one of those foot spas,
Yes.
and at least I get my feet in there, which I think it's very powerful to work on your feet in that way.
Oh, absolutely. Your feet, they take us on our journey. And, yeah, they're very important. Yeah, very important for us. Yeah. But what else would you like to talk about before I go on to talking about the angels?
Well, okay. What is going on with the overlapping of the dimensions?
Okay, the best way to describe that first, what happened was everybody might be feeling a little bit overwhelmed at the moment, more so than normal. It's usually an overwhelming experience to be incarnated in the first place. There was such a rapid expansion taking place. This is the very best way and the simplest way that I can share this information with you for my humanity to conceptualize it. I know it, but it's very difficult to translate it and put it into human words. So there was a massive universal expansion taking place. And before you ever get expansion of anything, you get compression. This is normal. So you always feel under pressure when you're ready to make a quantum leap and do an expansion. Unfortunately, it's not a big bang moment when you have an expansion. It's usually like a breath in, you feel compressed, and the expansion is usually like a breath out, and it's just occurred. So it can be a very silent thing. But there was such a massive universal expansion taking place so rapidly. The best way I can explain is that instead of having an expansion, it had an implosion.
Wow.
And there's planes of existence, there's dimensions, and then there's realms. And what happened was they compressed in and became like fused. Normally, there's what we call a space or a stillness between realms and planes of existence. Have you ever seen the packing bubble wrap that you wrap parcels in?
Right.
And you've got little separate bubbles, and in between it's all like spaces.
Right.
If I explain it like that, so what happened is if you put that under tremendous heat, it would go boom, and there'd be no spaces. There'd be just all bubbles pushing up against each other. So they are overlapping, but they're not. Sometimes the veil between gets very thin, and we call it the veil between the realms. But this, at the moment, it's actually compressed in and overlapping. So the Arcturian realm, which I call the angelic tech heads.
I love those guys.
They're the angels, they're the Arcturians, and they're the creators. They create all the metaphysics for this physical realm to exist in. They're just gorgeous. I love working with them. They're very big beings. They're very tall. They usually don't incarnate as such because they're such big beings. They are working on creating a beautiful space again between the dimensions, and it's like they're filling those dimensions with not just still space like we've always had before, but a beautiful liquid space. It's like liquid, if that makes sense. And that's occurring, and each space is getting this beautiful liquid between it. So the whole universe is evolving in a different way. But what this liquid will do, because mankind has chosen to do the next part of their journey with technology and spiritual development, technology operates on electrical frequencies. These electrical frequencies are arcing across the planes of existence and creating like a fusion. So by having a liquid space in between, it will allow that electrical energy to pass from one's plane of existence to another without taking the lower vibration from one plane to the next one. It'll go through a transformation as it passes through the liquid space. So technology itself is quite extraordinary, and energies can travel through the technology. So it's quite an exciting time that things are transforming differently. Now, how it will affect us as human beings, we need to be very consciously aware of technology and the media and the energy that it creates, because you need to be able to have the empowerment to say and choose, I'm not going to participate, or I'm going to turn that off. I'm not even going to read it. I'm not going to open it. I'm not going to give it momentum. A lot of people don't understand that they can turn things off. They can make a choice to not watch it, because energy can be transferred through all the devices, which it is. Everything is energy. So it's a very powerful time on the planet. And so huge transformations are taking place, more than we've ever experienced before. I mean, you've still got all the other energies that occur, the energies that we create ourselves as human beings, because we're so powerful. With everything we think, we create energy. With everything we say, we create energy. We are energy. But how this energy is affecting our being is, it's affecting our mental bodies, which are electrical frequencies. And so a lot of people are feeling tremendous energy in their mental energy. And so there needs to be perhaps a little bit of a settling. Great mastery is needed at the moment, because all the beautiful light workers I've spoken to have said, Sheena, I've got beings in my house. Where did they come from? You know, why are they here? I said, oh, sweetie, they're next dimension over. They've lapped over. It'll be fine. Just they'll move over.
Remember the pictures I got?
Pardon?
Remember those pictures that I got of my doorkeeper? And I was so blessed to get those photos when I had asked for someone to be a guardians at my door, and I was.
Of course, yes. Well, you have the divine right to ask for these things. When we're born, of course, we come through the birth gates and we forget, so that the current human soul can evolve in many cases. Some of us come through having that memory, and that's a huge responsibility to carry. So you have the divine right to ask the angelic realm, who are in charge of the administrators in the background of this experience, if that makes sense. You have the right to ask them, could they please assign you a protector or a doorkeeper for your home, and a permanent one. And that doorkeeper can alert you to energies that might be coming into your home. I have a beautiful blessing that I created for people that they can do once a month, because in ancient times we understood these energies, and we always used things to protect your physical home, which is your spiritual space as well. And we always worked with the elemental beings. We were consciously aware of them. Yes, that's a lot of fun. I'm so glad you got to see your gatekeeper or your guardian of your space. Now, they may not be able to stop a physical person entering, because physical people have free will, but they can certainly alert you if someone's coming that perhaps you may not wish to have into your home. Right. They used to hide my house. I had people that heard about me and wanted to visit me, and people would give them the address. They would drive up and down the street and they'd say there's no house there. And they'd have the right number and the right house. I had no control over it because I handed that over to the higher powers, that if it was in someone's best interest, that they could connect with me. They would get so frustrated, and they would be in the right street, and they'd say, there's a vacant block there. There's no house there. It was very funny. But I would find these things out afterwards. I didn't know that they were occurring at the time. That's what my guardians used to do. So perhaps those people weren't ready to do what they thought they needed to do. Perhaps they had a little bit more work to do first. I don't know. It's not my decision. It's the higher powers' decision.
You know, it's the same thing with my Heart Talks guest. It has to be in the right time. I've had guests waiting all last year to be on the show, and we're just now like getting to it because timing is impeccable. And especially the way I connect with my guests, I want us both to have time to have already connected, you know, on a higher realm, and so that we are prepared. And it's so important for me that my guests feel the connection I have with my guest, because it's all about energy. And I love it when we get comments that people can feel the connections and relationships that I have with my guests, because that is part of that golden ripple of love that we've created there at Heart Talks, and it is so worth nurturing and feeding. And so I you know, it's just like whenever I go into the forest for a healing, it is just a matter of surrender. All I had to do was walk through the trails and just look at those beautiful trees and just be gratitude. And there were places on that trail that were simply enchanting. And to just breathe in the smell of the trees, and it was just absolutely beautiful. And by the end of it, you know, after wallowing in the dirt for 3 days, you'd think, you know, but I was radiant. My skin felt good again because I had drank water in Montana that I had a little bit of an effect. And so all I needed to do was drink my clear water and go into the forest and come out looking good. So
it's always invigorating.
It doesn't cost very much either.
It's such a wonderful experience just to be in nature. Nature is so healing. It's such food for the soul. And I think it's a wonderful thing if you live near the city to even go to the park if you can. If you can't get out to nature, just visit the park and be around nature and the animals, because the animals just have unconditional love in them. And they're so healing. They absolutely are.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Now, darling, I was going to talk about just connecting with your guardian angels today. So we'll call this briefly. I'll just touch on the subjects that we're going to cover. In our past videos that are on demand, we spoke about connecting with your guardian angels, what the archangels are. That was fun. We spoke about Atlantis, which is very exciting to share that knowledge. And we touched on the Emerald Fire and the Marys, the female healers. So we did a lot. And we had a lot of fun too. Have to forgive us, our listeners, because we do get the giggles and we do go off on a tangent. A lot of people don't understand that I'm an open channel. And once I start channeling, I'm not being rude when I'm speaking and not letting Sheila speak. I have to speak the channel, or it'll just go through my head and it'll go out the other side. Right. And Sheila understands that. So she holds the space for me. And sometimes I disappear occasionally and I'm pretending that I'm here, but I'm not really here. So, yeah. But I live in Australia, and it was just wonderful how Sheila and I met. I'm in such deep gratitude to our beautiful soul sister Delia, who introduced us.
Absolutely.
And I teach spiritual development. And I teach the teachers, I teach the other healers, and I teach multidimensional healing with the legions of light and the angelic realm. And I have so much fun. And of course, I'm a healer myself. And so I get to share a journey with some of the most extraordinary people. And it is extremely humbling to meet other incarnated divine beings that are crazy enough to come to boot camp Earth. I'll tell you, you do need a big ticket to get here, honestly.
That is right.
And it says Space Cadet approved.
It's where we gather.
Where we gather, yes, absolutely.
Wow.
So if any of the beautiful listeners would like us to answer any specific questions, we'd love you to email and we could do that. If you would like to do that, please feel free to do so. But we're going to touch on all different subjects. We do, Sheila and I both ask the higher powers how best we can serve as part of what we call the divine plan for the greater good for humanity. So sometimes we start channeling and it just happens. We don't plan our shows. We don't structure them. We try, but it doesn't work sometimes. You can't structure the divine. You can give it a little bit of structure. But yeah, no, it's such a joy to share this time with everybody. And I always feel in such deep gratitude to do this. And I'm creating a sanctuary here where I've moved to recently. So you'll see those little adventures on Facebook, and it's called The Adventures of Nature Angel. But so no, please don't hesitate to send Sheila any questions, and if we can answer them, of course we'll do our very best. But I'd love to talk. Yeah.
After we do a show, I always just hold the space. I call it celebrating, but I just hold the energy for a little while because I know that these are going to go out into the world. And I want our shows to hold that energy that we've got and all the blessings that are just pouring down on us right now, so that those people out there who are ready to hear these messages will be drawn to that energy. And it is, one of my guests and I were talking yesterday how we have gone far and beyond all the dreams that we ever had to while being on this planet, and we're living such such blessings right now, and it feels so good to allow spirit to come through me and come through these shows and to show me who to have on the guest. It is such a wonderful feeling to just allow things to unfold and allow these things to happen, because everything that's going on in my life right now came to me.
Yes.
Came right to me, and all I had to do was just
be
my hat and be.
yeah, that's us. I was moving the screen so you could see one of my paintings of Archangel Michael. This one's called Heart Shield, and they're called Windows from Heaven, because Sheila and I are both artists and we love it. I love your paintings, Sheila. They're just exquisite. And so we have a lot of fun with our work, and we'll share our work with everybody over the series. But I always love the fact that you've got your paintings behind you and that I can see them. And I know you've got one there that you're working on, the one above your head. I love that one.
Oh, yes.
What's that one?
Going through the portal.
The portal, yeah.
Made it through the portal.
Oh, that's divine.
Oh, yeah. That happened to me on the 12/21/12.
Wow.
Yes,
wow.
And I didn't actually expect anything like that to happen. I really don't do dates, because where I spend most of my time, there is no time.
Exactly.
And so I don't expect, but when that happened, as soon as after it was done, I got right up, and I actually, that was just a piece of wood that was sitting around, but I had to paint it. I had to paint it right then and now, and because I still at that point was like, I had no idea what was going on with me. I just knew I was having these experiences, but I didn't actually have, you know, vocabulary for it. And you know, my sanity came through my paintings. You know, this was just to say, look what I experienced. Look what happened to me. Look where I went. And having these paintings discovered is actually how Heart Talks got started. So, yeah, I'm a brave girl.
Yes, yes. Well, you do need courage to do this. You absolutely need a bit of courage to be human. It's part of the beauty of the humanity. They have extraordinary hearts, and they have such courage. Some people may not think that they do, but you actually do. Yeah.
Well, and you know, these shows that we're doing, what we're trying to do, not only for your healers and your teachers, but for those people who are just coming into this new world of energy. And we welcome you into this, because as pioneers of this new world, you know, it's been discovery, and we've just been talking to each other like, this is what I do. This is what I do. You know, we want you to welcome you into this world of imagination of universal heights, and just open yourself up, and please just you know, allow yourself to be you and the abilities that you have. You know, that is your journey, and what a blessing to discover that you have these abilities. And we're going to be here for you guys whenever you're discovering those, so we can tell you that you're okay, and show you all the way people are using their abilities. It's such an amazing time of discovery.
And I think a really important thing to mention is that you're not insane. Becoming consciously aware that you are all eternal, divine, spiritual beings.
Absolutely.
And you've been on an incredible journey through time and space, and you're now incarnated, having an experience as being human. It's not the other way around. You're not a human being searching for your soul or spirit. You're already this extraordinary divine spiritual being who's traveled through the cosmos, and your consciousness is incarnated in many planes of existence, not just here on the earth. And so you are not insane. You're human, and you're becoming consciously aware. So I think anchoring it into your human consciousness and still regaining your sanity is a huge feat. And being grounded is the most important thing, grounding it in. I remember when I was young and I asked the spirits and my guardians, the angelic realm, how do I be this divine being incarnated? How do I do it? I said, I don't know how to be. And this is the most human I've ever been, by the way. It's a huge experience, this life for me. And they said, child, how your spirit shines is by being human. And I went, I get it. Yeah. By being Sheila and by being Sheena, that, you know, to me, you just shine so much, Sheila. And that's because you're Sheila, your spirit shines through you. And that's how to do it. It seems so simple, and it is.
You know, I can remember back when I was being trained to find my authentic self. And my training for me personally was, okay, I said, now sit here and feel what it feels like when you had all those puppies.
Oh, gorgeous.
And so I sat there and I felt that. And they're like, that's your authentic self right there.
Yes.
Think about when you held your child for the first time. And I sat there and I felt that. They got, that's your authentic self right there. And they said, now we want you to take that vibration and we want you to hold it.
Wow.
because you don't have to change
No.
in your different situations. You can always be the girl with the puppies. You can always be the girl with the baby. You can always be the girl with your best friend when you're out playing with your best friends and you feel so good and free. That is your authentic self. Hold on to that vibration.
Yes.
That's when I was learning about vibration. Hold on to that vibration and just be that everywhere you go with everyone you deal with.
Yes. We go out of the mind and into the heart. Because our own heads are our greatest enemies. But yeah, just be it. Just be it. And, you know, be positive and be happy. You will have your moments where energy will come, and they might be your moments, but you allow it to pass through you. You know, you're allowed to be human. That's what's so amazing about this experience as being human beings. We come through so much to get here and be born. I remember another profound moment when I was speaking with my guardians, and I work mainly with what we call the Christ consciousness, which is Sananda, the Buddha energy, the higher consciousness. And I must say at this point, because I speak about angels and the Christ, it's not got a religious aspect for me. All cultures speak about the higher consciousness. In the Buddhist tradition, I think they call the higher consciousness is the Bodhisattva. So I'm talking about the highest connection to the source of the divine. But they were saying to me, I said, how does everybody fulfill their divine purpose? What do I tell people? Because they're all born into this dimension, and they ask me that question. They quite often come and say, what's my divine purpose? How do I fulfill it? Which is such a joy to share with them what they themselves wanted to do and planned to do when they come here. But the angelic realm explained to me that just by being born in this dimension, you have actually fulfilled your divine purpose just by being born here.
Yes.
That in itself is an incredible feat, because you're all such extraordinary, divine, eternal spiritual beings created from pure love and pure light. And to go through rebirthing and incarnating to actually be born into the physical dimension is the most extraordinary journey in itself. So please don't ever doubt yourselves. You're all amazing beings. And if you could see what Sheila and I see, you would just be overwhelmed with how amazing you all are.
Yes. Well, hopefully in our series, we're going to be able to help people just to let go a little, quit judging yourself so bad. Let's just start enjoying this journey. And Sheena is just going to have so much wonderful share. And I'm just going to sit here and go, yes.
I think one of the things I'm being guided to share with you is you are all the sum total of the journey that your souls have done through time and space. So for my language, my concepts, when I talk about the eternal spirit, it's the eternal spirit that incarnates each time into a new physical form, whether it be on this planet or anywhere else. Now, each physical form that we're born into has its own new soul plane for that particular life. And these are layers that get built up through all of our experiences as we're ever expanding, as our spirit ever expands. So I'll cover that concept and that language that I speak in other shows. But you are all the sum total of the journey that your souls have done through time. This is what's helped create you and your spiritual personality and why you're the way you are. And please have faith in yourselves that your journeys have helped shape and mold you the way that you have become. don't be frightened to look inwards. Don't be frightened to look at yourself. It might be scary and you might think, oh, hula dooly, was I really that? Did I really do those things? But if you keep going further and further within, all you're going to reach is that pure love and light. There's nothing to be frightened of.
Right.
And that it was Shakespeare who said, you know, the world is the stage and we're all the actors. We all play a role in each other's journey. And so I want you to take every experience as an experience, because this is one of the other main questions I asked the angels. I said, what's it about? Why do we come here? And they said it's for the experience at being human.
Yes.
And I went, okay, I get that. So every experience that you have, you will learn more about yourself, whether it's a positive experience or a negative experience. The negative ones can be most powerful teachers. And you know, what you usually discover about yourself is, even though the situation has been perhaps quite challenging, you are still a good person. You are still deep within yourself an extraordinary soul, and you've come through an experience. So look back at the experience and go, what did I learn about myself through this experience? Wow, I survived. 2, they haven't taken away my light. 3, I'll continue to survive. You know, it's pretty amazing. But guardian angels, they're the ones we want to talk about. Now, Sheila, how are we going for time?
It is time for us to close this session.
Oh, darling, we'll just play that music again, if that's okay with you.
All right. And then hopefully you will join us next week. And, we'll share more information.
Yes.
You'll just want to listen to this song and breathe in and allow this vibration to help adjust all of you. And thank you, Sheena, and we will see you next week.
Oh, namaste, gorgeous soul sister. I love you so much. And thank you for creating the beautiful Heart Talks platform for us all. Much deep gratitude. Okay, darling.
All right, let's listen.
Goodbye, everybody from Australia. I'll just play this lovely music for you. Oh, thank you.